And yes, Gravity Falls AU Rarity is a real bitch. This is the last Mabelcorn, what is this now, the 15th episode of the second season of Gravity Falls. I'm trying really hard not to think about the fact that we're so far into this series. This episode starts out with Ford having a dream about Bill's cipher, leading him to believe that Bill is about to make his move, which he is. So he, along with Dipper and Mabel, puts together a plan to try to protect them from Bill. There are two possibilities. They can cast a spell to protect the Mystery Shack and anyone within it. I'd imagine it's something more like anyone who calls it their home, because, I mean, they do leave the Mystery Shack and go into town from time to time, so it wouldn't protect them then if it only protects the perimeter, but they don't make it seem like that's the case. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's continue. The spell is very difficult to cast because it requires some difficult to find ingredients, or specifically one difficult to find ingredient. The hair of a unicorn, which it is said can only be granted to someone who is pure of heart. Mabel thinks herself to be pure of heart, so she gets together with her friends and Wendy to go on a quest to find a unicorn in the forest, prove herself pure of heart, and get some of its hair. Meanwhile, because Ford doesn't think this is a very likely outcome, he goes with plan number 2. He's already immune to Bill's possession and mind control, but Dipper, for example, isn't, so Ford plans to use a machine to encode Dipper's thoughts in a way that Bill can no longer read them or influence them. Mabel's plot is given the most focus in this episode, but I think it's Dipper's plot that's definitely the most interesting from an intellectual standpoint. So I'm going to talk about that one really quick first. The process of encoding his thoughts is taking a long time, and Ford has up to this point been very secretive with Dipper about what he knows about Bill and their past relationship. So Dipper has the idea to put the machine on Ford while he's asleep, read his thoughts, and see what the answer is. And he learns their secret backstory together, which was very interesting and definitely worth watching yourself. That's all I'm going to say about that. I will say, though, that reading Ford's thoughts culminates in Dipper not believing Ford for a little while, thinking that he might be possessed by Bill. They have a bit of an altercation where Dipper almost makes a huge mistake, thankfully he doesn't. And Ford decides that from now on he's going to be 100% honest with Dipper because Dipper's actually very capable. Frankly, not telling him everything is dangerous. So Ford puts the stuff that Dipper saw when he was reading Ford's mind into context and fills in the rest of the story, which I'm also not going to go into detail about because it's just as good as that previous scene. It was really cool with some really cool visuals and filled in a lot of the intrigue that the show has been building up so far. In fact, if you are watching this show or you have watched this show in the past and for some reason you're watching this review without having seen this episode, what are you doing here? Just go watch it. During their altercation, Dipper does accidentally destroy the encoding machine though, so they are no longer able to encode each family member's minds one after another to protect them from Bill. The only option at this point is the spell, which brings us back to Mabel's plotline. They get to the Unicorn Grove or whatever the heck it is. They meet Rarity. She's totally Rarity from My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. She's even got the same, I'm going to lose a lot of street cred for saying this, she even has the same cutie mark. It's really pretty funny, but not Rarity judges Mabel to not be pure of heart. So Mabel tries doing good deeds to purify her heart. That doesn't work. And so she's left thinking that she's a terrible person. So Wendy and Mabel's friends, they partake in this big convoluted scheme that doesn't take up much time despite the fact that it was really, really interesting. That allows them to get what they need to face not Rarity directly and steal some of her hair. But that leads them to having a confrontation with Mabel. And then we get a revelation about the unicorns and they actually fight 3 unicorns off screen, unfortunately, but it happens, and get the hair back, and we get the moral of the episode that morality is relative, learned by Mabel, which I think is really interesting. Mabel, by bringing that hair back, even though she had to hurt someone to do it, has protected her family. And it's not like the people that she hurt were good people, and it's not like she killed them. I mean, yeah, she still technically did a wrong, but in this particular situation, the good outweighs the bad. And I think this is going to solve a lot of problems with Mabel's character. We've gotten instances of Mabel doing really horrible things because she thinks that she's always in the right. We've gotten instances of Mabel being very power-hungry and it being very, I guess scary is the best word, and dangerous. And she's never really taken a step back and thought about these things because she thinks that she is a pure and good person who can't make mistakes. This episode, at the very least, got her to think back on some of her past decisions, and I think she's going to continue to think through her decisions more than she used to. At least I hope she does, because if so, this could be the turning point for her character. Unfortunately, there's not really a lot of time to see for sure if that's the case, but who knows? Who knows what's going to happen in these last few episodes? We'll have to see. The important thing is that Mabel grows as a character in this episode, and as long as that growth remains a part of her characterization and she doesn't regress, this is a step forward for her character. And as a Mabel fan, as a really huge Mabel fan, it's very important to me to see an episode like this. Like, y'all know I had a big problem with Mabel's choice to use Love Potion in The Love God. I don't think Mabel would have made that same choice if that had happened after this episode. Like I said, we'll have to see. Otherwise, this was just a genuinely good episode overall. The visuals were great, the unicorn designs were really cool. It was, as per usual, great seeing Mabel's friends and seeing Wendy. And the stuff with Dipper and Ford built up a lot of the intrigue that the show had lost after Ford's arrival. It built that back up and gave us more things to wonder about. Granted, it kind of explained all of them in the same episode, which I think might have been a mistake. Like, I wonder at this point, did they already know that Season 2 was going to be the last season? Because I know you guys keep telling me that this is where the creator of the show planned to stop, was at the end of Season 2. But I have read very conflicting reports about that. Supposedly they were expecting a Season 3 up until very close to the end of Season 2. I mean, either one of us could be right. There's no way to know because we weren't involved in the show. But some of the writing choices they've made this season definitely feel like they were building up to a third season. And then all of a sudden we get this episode where a whole bunch of secrets are implied and then revealed in the very same episode. It just feels a lot quicker than a lot of the big mystery stuff previously in the show. But it was still really good, and we are left wondering stuff by the end of the episode. What exactly is Bill's plan, and how is he going to get around the defenses around the Mystery Shack? We know he's already trying. We know he's already picking a new host. Who is it going to be? Overall, I really enjoyed this episode, and even though watching it means I am one episode closer to being finished with this show forever, I don't regret it for a single minute. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Guys, if you have seen this episode, what did you think of it? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below. Either way, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.